Hello, everybody, and of course, welcome along to the Borderline podcast. Tonight, I've got Lynsay Oliver, who's a holistic wellness coach. Lynsay Oliver Wellness, thank you very much for coming on to the podcast and giving me a little bit of your time. How are you?
I'm very good, thanks. Yeah, good to be here.
Good.
Excited?
Yeah. Excited? Yeah. I'm excited, nervous, as we just spoke about.
But it's the first podcast I've been on, so it's good.
Really? Well, there we go. I hope it's not. I hope it's not as frightening and daunting one for you. It's usually quite easy going on this one. So, obviously, I know who you are, and I've looked into what you do. It's absolutely fantastic. But for obviously for any listeners that aren't aware who you are and what you do, could you just fill us in on a little bit of background of how you kind of got into your journey of wellness coaching and how you came to be where you are today?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So I've been a fitness instructor for a long time, about 14, 15 years now. So I had been teaching classes for about 11 years. And it was about the end of 2019. I was kind of looking for a more long-term career and a little bit of a change in direction. So I wasn't really sure what that was going to be, but still love teaching fitness classes, really love what I do. But I was seeing people sort of week in, week out come into the classes, and there was maybe things that they were wanting to change, or their weight or different things, but they sort of came week in, week out, but without much change. So I was kind of thinking, right, I wanted to look more into the bigger picture and what helps people make change, transform their lives, basically.
That's it. Yeah.
So I was kind of looking at different options and different ways that I could kind of get into that, and came across the IAWP, which is the International Association of Wellness Professionals.
Okay.
Really loved what they do and their philosophy about coaching, and it's all like is looking at the bigger picture. So So I like my certifications. I did my training with them. My certification is holistic wellness coach, which means you are looking at the whole picture in someone's life. So it's not like everything has an impact on other areas. So there's
you're not
like
focused on individual little areas.
So say if someone's like wanting to lose weight, they tend to just think, right, food, and they focus in on food. But if they're maybe like stressed at work or not happy in a relationship, if you don't address that part of the problem, that's like your root of the problem, it's difficult to make changes where the food's concerned. So it's kind of looking at all these different areas like career, mindset, sleep, food and nutrition obviously comes into it, relationships, even like spirituality, all of this stuff. It's like looking at everything that's going on in your life and finding the root of the problem and then addressing that to get you where you want to be. So that's one part of it. The other part of it, that's everybody's unique. So there's no one fix. There's no sort of one fit for all. It's kind of like looking for solutions for you. So if I was working with you, your situation, your circumstance, your background, your mindset, everything is unique to you. So it's finding a way that we can create changes in your life that fits around your lifestyle and what's going on. So I did my course with them in 2020. So that was like while everyone else was like coping with COVID and lockdown and all that, I was actually loving life.
That's amazing.
I felt a little bit guilty, but I was furloughed at that time, so I was getting paid to actually do my coaching course, and I loved every bit of it because it kind of...
That's brilliant.
It helped me. As I was going through my course, I was making changes in my own life. So I did my course 2020, and then I've been coaching people since then. And because I was in lockdown, I got through it a lot quicker, got through it in about 6
Mhm.
months. Might have taken me a year to get through that, and then got going sort of September 2020, and been things have been evolving since then. So yeah, it's
And
good.
that's amazing. That's amazing. I like what you're saying as well, that everybody's unique, because that's obviously a really rewarding part of it, because you're having to learn and adapt as well as you say to
Hmm.
help implement people put these changes into their life. So I think obviously you'll like you say, there's just such a diverse spectrum there,
Hmm. Yeah.
um, of different possibilities that can uh, go wrong or impact you negatively. Um, so obviously, without giving your business a little bit of away too much, obviously, what aspects do you kind of see more commonly, or kind of deal with a little bit more consistently throughout people, or are they really quite all different?
Um, yeah, like obviously everybody's different in some ways, but
Mhm.
I was kind of seeing general trends of people just having too much on their plate.
Yeah,
So that kind of, a lot of people just feeling overwhelmed with work, with family, work, they just the usual, trying to keep on top of things. And then on top of that, they're trying to eat well, exercise,
yeah,
try and sleep well, and all this stuff. And it's almost just like an added pressure. So
well,
that's why I've kind of, like, this sort of last 6 months, I've really kind of changed direction a little bit and gone into
mhm.
decluttering. And it's not just
Right, okay,
physical,
yeah,
it's not just physical clutter. It's like we're weighed down by stuff. We're weighed
yep,
down by, some of it is physical, like physical clutter has a big impact, but as physical clutter, mental clutter, digital clutter, head full of
yeah,
unhelpful thoughts.
yep,
So I've kind of gone down the route of like, let's like let go of all this stuff, because if we
mhm.
strip some of that away, we've got more space, more time, more energy
Yeah.
for the things that we love.
Yeah, well, that's it, because that's I think everybody's quite guilty of that we don't do enough of things that we really love doing.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
like I've always said, like always makes your time a little bit of time per day, just to show yourself a little bit of love as well, because it's massively important.
Yeah.
Um, Focusing in, I was obviously just going back to what you're originally saying, obviously about the timing, is obviously it must be found it quite hard personally, obviously having certain anxieties and whatnot. But obviously, coming back from COVID, people learned a lot of bad. Well, I did. Gained a
Mm-hmm.
lot of bad habits during lockdown and whatnot. So, in the transition back into, what do we say, normal life, so to speak, I found quite hard and quite
Yeah.
stressful. So that obviously, I'm assuming would play quite a massive part as well in people. Obviously, through that transition, you probably would have seen that
Yeah.
firsthand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. People struggling, like obviously a lot of people put weight on during lockdown because it was
Hmm.
like so much was taken away. So the sort of things that we were enjoying were maybe just food or
Yeah.
drink or stuff like that, because we didn't have the social connections and everything else going on to keep us busy. So yeah, a lot of people that had gained weight, definitely, like you say, anxiety as far as like going out and about and getting back in
Yeah.
amongst people,
The,
because
the social interaction.
yeah, and it's even like if you think our sort of our brains, like, still like primitive, like it's not,
Yeah.
our world's evolved,
Yes.
but our brain's still that sort
Mhm.
of primitive brain that has this fear that if you go out you're going to get eaten. You're gonna
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
if
No,
I go out
it's
the
so true.
cave,
It's so true.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
like it's your brain's just trying to protect you basically. But
Yeah.
what became like your sort of equivalent of going out your cave and getting eaten by a tiger would be like going to the co-op, going to, like, so that became that a fear. So there's, yeah,
Yeah.
that
But
with people,
I was going to
yeah.
say, just on that, and now people can have their own opinions about mask wearing as they want, but I found it hard. to stop wearing a mask, and that had nothing to do with COVID. After that, it was because I felt so comfortable with
Mm-hmm.
the, that social anxiety aspect,
Yeah.
that I felt quite, that hidden kind of, okay, I'm kind of nice and safe kind of boundary. And it
Mm-hmm.
it did it took me a while just to take a mask off.
Yeah.
Um, so definitely, yeah, the social interaction must have been
Yeah.
must have
And
been
then the other
huge. And
thing is
then,
a lot of, well, if you know, some of the clients that I have had lots like long COVID as well.
mhm,
So
wow,
energy, like issues with energy and
yeah,
fatigue and not being able to do what they did before is another
mhm,
like frustration, and kind of wanting to be back to where they were, but having to
yeah.
just do step by step just to build things up again.
That's it. People aren't used to, as you say, a step by step by step by, like, it's just almost engineered into us now, that fast approach.
Yeah.
And it's just
That is
not the
totally
right
one of
way.
the like, yeah, that's like a big part of my job, and it is actually reining people
Mhm.
in, like reining
Yeah,
people
yeah,
in
oh
to
yeah.
try and get them to take small, consistent steps rather than
Mhm.
trying to do everything, not managing or not maintaining it, and then feeling like a failure. So
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
As I say, obviously, and you would have, with a background in fitness as well, if the relation to that is people automatically think, I want to lose 3 stone. But if you break
Mm-hmm.
that down into your small little wins, your small little steps, and like say the pound every 2 weeks or so,
Yeah.
they're all wins to keep you going along that journey. As
Yeah.
I say, you shouldn't always want a quick fix to some things, because the journey that it takes you on, you learn so much more about yourself.
Mm-hmm. Completely. But everything is like you say, like quick fix, like or not quick fix,
Yeah,
but everything is instant. We're kind of getting conditioned to want things
yeah,
instantly, like your
yeah,
deliveries that you order one day and comes the next, and every TV, whatever you want when you want it, and yeah, so
yeah.
yeah, so we need to be patient.
Um, yeah, that's it. A nice steady patient approach to life. Take things
Yeah,
nice and
well, what
slow.
happens as well, it's
Uh,
like a pattern. So it's
yeah.
like I ran a declutter your bedroom challenge the other week, and I was
My
saying
wife's
at
gonna
the
love
end
this
of that
segment.
it was a week's challenge. But I was saying to them, it's so much more than a declutter your bedroom challenge, because if you sign up for that, you don't take the consistent action, and then you don't follow through with it, and you get to the
Yeah,
end. So the more you actually do that, you condition yourself to think, I'm not
yeah,
someone who follows through and finishes and gets the results that I want. And then it's almost
yeah.
like
That's so true.
it's like learned helplessness. Like
Yeah,
you kind of start thinking, what's the point, or why would I try, because it can't do it. So if you
yeah.
start with
Well,
little tiny small actions and little tiny steps that you can do and you can
yeah,
take, and then you just think, right, I've done it, I've done it, and you build up a new
yeah,
pattern that you can actually take action and follow through with it.
yeah. Well, that's it. Like, self nourishment is one of the most important
Hmm.
things for ourselves. To,
Yeah.
to, to have that self satisfaction. And it's odd that you focus on decluttering, because I've had my ill battles with mental health, and one of the things that's always been recommended to me is to
Hmm.
go into a drawer and just take everything out and just make it nice and neat, and you'll feel so much better for it. And it
Yeah.
genuinely works.
Hmm.
And as you
Yeah.
say, it is genuinely a little declutter. It's a little win, and I do try and do it every time I do kind of have a little bit of a dip. But I end up doing 2 drawers, then 3 drawers, and I'll never
Hmm.
do that normally. So
Yeah.
it does totally work.
Get a little bit of
Um,
momentum going. Yeah. Amazing. And
yeah, yeah, definitely.
it's like I mean, you think about your whole environment has such a massive impact on your well-being. So
Hmm.
if there's anyone that's in my group that listens to this, they'll be like, oh, here she goes. But like, I talk about emotional state a lot with
Yeah,
my groups, with my clients, and it's like the word emotion is energy in motion. So
yeah,
you're
okay.
like your high energy, high good states, like you're happy, you're
Hmm.
excited, you're feeling good. your lower energy states, you might be feeling anxious, depressed, worried, sad, lonely, frustrated. They're all sort of low energy states. You're not feeling really motivated to go and do stuff in those states. So anything in your environment that frustrates you or annoys you or worries you, like even like watching the news worries you, things like that, anything that in your environment that lowers your state is not helpful. So as soon as you're sort of getting rid of clutter and making things sort of nice and clean and clear, and you're choosing what you allow in, whether you watch the news or not, or who you're around and all these things, it can have a massive impact on your emotions, on what emotional state that you're in. So decluttering sounds like it's sort of trivial, but actually can make a huge difference.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like genuinely, that little serotonin boost that you get after, it's the same little endorphin after, completing a little workout. It's that task that you didn't really want to do some days, but you go out and do it anyway, and you feel so much better for it. And then after you question, well, why didn't I want to do it in the first place? I'll do the same thing tomorrow. And then you go into that circle.
Totally. Yeah.
So obviously, you're talking about the teams and your classes and that. So I take it you do different aspects of coaching. Did you do obviously individual, group, and did I see a little bit of public speaking and stuff like that as well?
Yeah, so I do. I have a group that is all online, and it's I think, I'm not sure about the number. I think there's about 30 odd people in the group at the moment, but they sign up for a year. So with the group, they can kind of dip in and dip out depending on what we're focusing on at that time. Do you know, it's more sort of, so it's general things that people might want to shift. Like in January, we had a cut the crap challenge, which is kind of just to get back into our healthy eating. We do declutter challenges, habit challenges, step chat, like, just setting step targets and things like that. So it's kind of a just keeps people ticking along and keeps you. We do goal setting and checking in, and we have live sessions every week with sort of things to think about and some celebrating the wins along the way. So it's kind of general. If you need a little bit of a nudge and a little bit of support, then the group's a good place to be, just because it's lovely because it's a supportive group. Everybody in there is wanting to make improvements and be healthy and feel good. So it's a good place to be. Again, it's like you're in that environment. So you're surrounding yourself with people that are like wanting the same sort of things. So that's my group, but my one-to-one coaching is obviously like a sort of deep dive and much more personal and working on what that person really needs, regardless of what's going on with anyone else. So it's a real and there's no sort of, it's not a structure. Like usually I'll do six months and do a session every 2 weeks. I don't have in my head a plan for each of those sessions because it's whatever's going on in that person's life at the time, or what challenges they're having, what they need support with. Something might happen the day before they come here, and we need to talk about that and get, feel better about that. So so the one-to-one is obviously much more personal. And I talk about the whole decluttering and letting go of things. That comes into pretty much every single one-to-one, whether they're aware of it or not. Because there's always limiting beliefs or unhelpful thoughts or unhelpful even words, like language that people use that I'll say, you've said these words all through the session. And it's kind of being aware of the language that you're using, because you don't sometimes pick it up.
Wow.
Whereas someone else picks it up. Do you know, I had one person in who the first half of our session, it wasn't really till I looked at the notes that in the first half of the session, it was like heavy, drained, like all these sort of words were shown up in the notes. And then once she started reframing the situation and coming up with solutions, it was like feeling lighter and good and like a weight off. And so it's like the words we use are totally powerful. Sometimes we don't actually realize ourselves what we're saying.
Oh yeah.
And we repeat the same language. So yeah, the one-to-one is I think now that I'm 3 years in, just over 3 years into coaching, I'm much more confident to really dig a bit deeper. Like when I first started, it was kind of I didn't have a structure for my sessions, but I had a coaching structure from my course of how a session should be. Whereas now I kind of just go off road a little bit and kind of go with my own intuition. So it's I feel like now I'm the one-to-ones are kind of a bit more in depth and yeah. A lot. I mean, if you see me out walking, I've got headphones in. It's either a podcast or an audiobook. It's not as often the rare occasion it's music, but like I love learning. I absolutely love learning. So, and it all helps with my clients. You just pick up little things.
I've massively got into audiobooks.
Yeah. I actually find podcasts easier to listen to than I think I like the sort of story side of it. Like of a podcast, there's more kind of I remember things from podcasts more than an audiobook.
And they're all different. Typically every kind of podcast you get a different guest or whatnot. Every episode's different, but audiobooks can be very samesies.
It depends who's reading it.
I'm really into the psychology books. Yeah, that's true as well.
Yeah. But it's again like I'll say to my group, or I'll say even to one-to-one clients, that repetition, you need the repetition. So I'll listen to different people speaking on the same subject, or I'll listen to the exact same trainings over and over again, and you pick up different things from it each time. I'm a big Tony Robbins fan. Have you do you know Tony Robbins?
I don't. I'm afraid no.
He's sort of a huge life coach, philanthropist, and I went to an event of his in Dallas last year, with 11,000
in America.
Yeah, so there's 11,000 of us.
Oh wow!
And we all did a fire walk.
What?
So at the end of the first day, it was a walk over hot coals, just to just to show the power of your mind and how to get over your fears and just go for it.
Does it hurt? It has to hurt.
It was fine. It was one of the craziest. It was like probably the craziest experience of my life, but it was good as well.
You get some
really
rush.
It was, and his events started at about 11 in the morning that day, and the fire walk was about 10:30, 12 at night. So
cool. So it's
did almost 12 hours with him, and then did the fire walk, and then we had another 3 days after that. So yeah, it was it was an amazing experience.
11,000.
There was 11,000 of us there, and I think there was another 6,000 or 7,000 online watching. Yeah.
You must learn a lot as well. Just going, like I say, obviously going to the thing from Tony Robbins himself, you learn, but Tony even Robbins. Being, mixed with so many like-minded people.
Yeah. Oh, it was like
Tony Robbins.
Buzz with the energy. Yeah. It was a proper like. Oh
yeah.
Like people would look at it and think, "Oh, that's a cult. That's like a crazy cult," because in between the actual training. In between the training, you're like up, like dancing about and screaming and shouting and all that. But like the science behind it is like that change in physiology makes the stuff stick. Because the more emotion you're feeling, the more you remember things.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, it was talked before. Serotonin So I understand the importance of that. But yeah, like I say, that must have been an absolutely amazing experience. 11,000 like-minded people
Yeah, it was.
walking over hot coals.
Walking over
I say
hot
I'm on about
coals.
going dipping again in Coden and Bay. I find that enough.
Yeah, it just makes you sort of think. It's one of those experiences that you can never imagine yourself doing it. So when you do it,
Yeah,
you sort of think, "Oh, what else can I do?" Do you know what?
yeah,
It kind of
that's
opens
taking down
up.
that little anxiety.
Yeah, it's the
Mhm.
same. The same. I did a marathon in 2019, and I always say that about the
Wow.
marathon. Up to that point, I used to constantly say, "I could never run a marathon. Could never run a marathon." So when I actually did, it was like, wow, what else can I do that
Yeah.
I've been telling myself that I can't? Kind of opens up
Yeah.
more opportunities.
No, that's it. I mean, I'm guilty of that. I'm doing 2 half marathons this year, and I'm quite
Well,
confident in them. I'm confident. I don't know if that's a little bit of arrogance. I ken how short it's going to be, and but even now, I'm still in that mindset as I couldn't do a marathon. I couldn't do a marathon, but that's already planting that little seed in the noggin up there to say you're going
yeah,
to try and go and do a marathon. And as I
cute.
say,
You're so
it's a
cute.
brilliant way to really test yourself, isn't it? Yeah. What marathon was it you did? Was it the Edinburgh or London or?
No, I did Loch Ness,
Oh, wow.
which was
Yeah.
which was really nice. It was a really nice
Yeah.
route, yeah. And they kind of drop you off at the start. They drop you off like up high, so a lot of the first bit of it's kind of downhill, which is
Downhill.
which
Yeah.
is quite
Quite
good.
nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
I don't
it's
know.
good.
Marathon. Yeah. Um. So obviously, your as I say, the fitness aspect of it is that obviously the basically the way that obviously we ended up getting in touch to come you on the show is that you teach my mother on one of your fitness classes. So obviously fitness is still
Oh, definitely. Thank you.
yeah.
Like when you're saying before that you need to sort of self nourish, like
Mhm.
that for me, that for me is my self care. Like doing
Yeah, yeah,
like
100%.
absolutely love my classes. My Zumba class is my favorite, like to teach, and
Mhm.
it's that I was thinking about it the other week. It is a change in state. Do you know when you're saying like after you've done a workout session, you feel like you're fired up, you're
Yeah.
motivated, you
Oh
feel
yeah,
like
yeah,
you
yeah.
could do anything. You feel like right, what can I do? Because you're feeling that change in state, and that's like Zumba for me is like the best way to do that because we just
Mhm.
have a laugh and yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, fitness classes and bit of running. Like I'll say to people, if you don't like people who find it hard to exercise, probably associate a
Mhm.
lot of like pain or discomfort with exercising. Whereas
Yeah. Mhm.
whereas to me, my association is pain and discomfort if I don't exercise.
Yeah.
So it's kind of one of
I
those,
can totally relate to that.
yeah. So it's kind of you switch your association and you get to the point where you love it and you want to do it, then it's much easier just to go and it just becomes part of your routine, part of your
Mhm.
life, really. But
That's
such
it.
a feel good.
Yeah.
Again, it's that whole environment thing. Like well, I teach at Cult Fitness. It's my
Mhm.
cousin Catherine that started that, and it's such an amazing place to be. It's that it
Yeah.
just like everyone's friendly. We have a laugh. It's and that just being part of that environment
Mhm.
makes you feel good.
Makes you feel amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, totally. Yeah,
Because but kudos.
love
My
it.
mum absolutely loves the classes.
Oh, paused a little bit there.
Or yeah, I think we both kind of froze a little bit on this.
Froze a little bit.
I was saying
Yeah.
my mum absolutely loves the classes. Um,
I'm so glad she's coming.
I'm
It's
not doing a disservice when I say this here, but like my mum will kind of go to fitness classes, and then if it's not for her, that'll be just no, not going back. So she's sticking to it, and
good.
yeah, I'm super
Yeah,
proud of her for doing it
should
too.
be coming tonight.
But she absolutely, yeah, she absolutely loved it. Yep, she's. It was funny.
You
I
has
do
to.
remember
You
the
has to
first
now.
time. I'm sure it was on the Sunday she was still saying, "Ooh, my bloody legs are like jelly."
It's all good. She's obviously
No, but
worked
it's
hard.
so true. Yeah, exactly, exactly. It's so true
Yeah.
what you're saying there. Again, being in a feel good factor environment
Hmm.
is just an amazing way of releasing it, and especially when that's combined with a love of fitness, which obviously have.
Yeah.
Um, so could you talk just a little bit more about obviously Zumba classes? Is it typically just Zumba, or do you do any kind of other classes?
So at the moment, I do a couple of Zumba classes, and I do a legs, bums, tums on a Wednesday morning, and a beginner
Hmm.
class on the Thursday night, and then
Yeah.
cover classes for Catherine when she needs. So not as many as I used to, because I used to teach quite a lot of classes before I got into my coaching, but I
Hmm.
kind of got to the point that I needed to kind of make the decision. I'm trying to grow a business here, so
Yeah.
made at one point I actually stopped teaching classes, uh, but I just missed it so much. So it's a nice balance now
Yeah.
to do my coach and do the bit, and then
Doing
because
the
my
coaching and
business is a lot of it's sitting as well. It's
mhm.
nice having that balance that you go out, and I apart from teaching
Yeah.
classes, I go to Catherine's classes
Hmm.
most days. Go
Yeah.
for my fix,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's it. I'm the same. If I don't get that fix, uh,
Hmm.
training for High Rocks just now.
Oh,
Got the
good.
High Rocks in Glasgow in a couple of weeks. Yeah, it's really intense. But
Hmm.
I'm kind of at that stage where I'll be honest, I'm just like, I'm struggling with this. I just need to get to the event and just do it and enjoy it
Oh,
and get it out of the
it's
way.
good. It is good though. I think that's like I know that the type of person I am. I need that external motivation. So
Yep.
I need
Yep.
to enter challenges or runs or that's what
Yep.
motivates me. Like if I was the
I'm the same.
class is good, class is fine, I would do that anyway, but to actually go out and run I need to enter. I need to People like think you're crazy, but it gives me the motivation. It's like you with your high rocks, you know when it is,
Yeah.
you know what you need to do, so it's easier to take the steps and motivate yourself to do it.
Yeah.
So it's good. Yeah, we've got a
Yeah.
15-mile trail running end of April, so that's what we're kind of running for that, and it just
Oh wow. Yeah.
makes
Whereabouts
you
is that?
get out.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's at Balmoral, so it should be nice and scenic, but a little bit
Oh,
hilly.
lovely. Yeah. Yeah.
A little bit
A
too
little bit
hilly,
hilly.
maybe.
I went and done that stupid 5K the other week that what took you up halfway up Arthur Seat. I thought I need to start checking routes.
Yeah, need to look at the elevation map.
Yeah, yeah, I'm terrible for. Um, Obviously, go back into your coaching. It's just something you picked up earlier. Obviously, you said that when you started this coaching, you kind of were by the book. The confidence wasn't there, and then now you're using your own intuition. I just kind of asking. I don't know if this will be bit of a difficult question or not to answer, but do you know what point that was that you kind of just felt, you know what, that I can do this as me now.
Um, no, it's probably kind of just developed over time,
Hmm.
but again, it comes back to like I'll go through like well everybody does like I'll go
Yeah,
through like a little phase of my brain trying to protect me, and I'll go through a little phase
yeah,
of self-doubt and
hmm,
like what the hell am I doing?
yeah,
What the hell am I doing? And it's totally it's because you start to focus on, oh, I thought I might have more clients, or this, or maybe that, or maybe
hmm,
people don't want to pay to get coaching or this. And you start to like snowball all those kind of doubt,
those negative
self-doubts
anxieties.
and unhelpful thoughts, when you go through a phase of like, you basically raise your energy, raise your, like, it sounds a bit woo-woo, but it's like raising your vibration. Once you get into that state of really focusing on
No,
your wins and
it's
focusing
definitely
on
not
everything,
woo-woo.
yeah, all the progress that you've been making,
Yeah.
and you actually raise your game and put that energy into it, it kind of feeds back to you.
Hmm.
So when you're in, like when I'm in that state, which I would say I am at the moment, like
Hmm.
it's like there's a woman that I follow called Noor Hibbert, and she'll talk about you
Hmm.
going from shit FM. Can I allowed to say that? Is that bad? You go from
You swore first.
Shit FM to Rocking It FM.
That's
So
cool.
when I'm feeling like I'm rocking it FM
Mhm.
and my energy's good and I'm like, life is amazing, it
Mhm.
just comes to you. It just comes to you, and you get the,
Yeah.
this is where we need to go here. So
Yeah.
it's just keeping in that state more often. Like, but when you're
Yeah.
there, it happens. Like you'll have had that where you
Yeah.
sort of, you have a wee
I,
spell in your life where things are like, oh, things are amazing, and then you get more of it.
yeah. It's it's so what you're saying encapsulates what goes on in there in my head as well. Like
Yeah,
4 weeks ago, I was going to cancel. Like I was ready to cancel the podcast because I was like, oh, people aren't going to want to listen to this. People don't want to listen to this. Why would people want to spend their time listening to this when they could listen to professional podcasts? And then, as you say, that anxiety snowballs, it goes down, and then all of a sudden, you kind of feel like that little spark goes off in your belly again. You go, you know what? No, I think actually I've got this under control now, and now I focus my
yeah,
time and my energy on what I need. And
hmm,
no, sorry, it's a button in there. Just what you were saying was so relatable.
yeah, totally. And like, you think, like, sometimes I put videos out or posts on Facebook, and it's like you doing
Hmm.
podcasts as well. Sometimes I think to myself, well, do you know what? If I affect one person, it's worth it.
Yeah,
Do you know?
that's it.
It's like if somebody picks something up that makes them feel good, or makes them aware of something
Hmm.
that's not helping them, or like moves them in the right direction, or like you're like listens to your podcast and think, oh, I thought it was just me. I can totally relate to that. Then you're
Hmm.
making a difference. Do you know? And it's
Yeah, and yeah,
like
exactly.
all those other podcasts started somewhere as well.
Yeah, no, it's
Yeah,
so true. It's so true, isn't
totally.
it?
It's like, that, like, Noor Hibbert that I follow again, she like always says,
Yeah,
don't compare your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20. It's like you can't
yeah, well,
compare.
yeah. No, that's so true.
Hmm.
But yeah, that self is not fun. As you
No,
say,
it's not. And
once you do get that kind of,
it snowballs, it can
it's
start.
so fastly,
Yeah,
especially up here. It's like
yeah,
Jesus. Like, I mean,
yeah,
I get quite bad like rumination and that goes on up there. Quite a lot of self talk and negative self talk, and then you when you add that drop of doubt in there, you've just made a cocktail of disaster.
yeah.
Well, that's how I put it just
It's
now.
kind of like, um well, I was talking about emotional state, but that, like, to change your state, you need to change your
Mhm.
focus. So
Yeah,
if I ever feel rubbish, if I'm ever having like a little sort of moment of, like, or not moment, day of frustration, or like feeling bad, it's like that, right, stop. What are you focusing on?
yeah,
And like ask
aye,
yourself that question. What would be a better thing to focus on? What would actually help, like, how I'm feeling
yeah,
here? Because you know how you, like you say, you ruminate, you go over and over, like, the same. If something annoys you, play it over and over and over again, and it's kind of right. Which,
yeah.
like exercise is actually great. Like, actually moving your body and helps shift
One,
that
yeah,
state.
that's
Yeah,
it. It's
or
as you say,
hoovering.
it's that little
I think hoovering's
the
quite good.
hoovering. I know what. In fact, I can't. I was going to say I don't mind hoovering, but that's well, I've done it now.
It's out there.
Shit.
Yeah.
There you go. Now we're even.
You're gonna have
um,
to hoover now.
no, you're saying like just another thing I caught on there as well. You're talking about like obviously the importance of vibrations and energy as well. And that's something that I massively can relate to again because it is so important. Your own kind of conscious and subconscious, state of energy and whatnot, and how you absorb kind of negative energy and then exert positive energy is absolutely massive. And
Mm-hmm.
something that somebody said to me just a couple of days ago actually, when we were talking about kind of self doubt was the likes of myself or Lachlan and yourself. We're all out here just to try and make the world a better place.
Yeah, yeah, totally. And there's like I used to have that sort of, oh, people are gonna think like, what is she doing, or who does she think she is? But I kind of
Yeah,
have now accepted, and I think actually having a statistic helps. Someone once said to me, like 10% of people won't like you. And I think I think whenever I have had not very many, but I've had occasional backlash, not very much. But I'm
yeah.
sort of like, oh, that they're in
I've had a
the ten
couple.
percent. They're in the ten
Yeah.
percent. It's just the statistics. It's just the
Yep.
statistics. So it's fine. I can cope. I can cope with it. I'll say to client, like, especially when I'm chatting to my one-to-one, I think if you feel good within yourself and
Mm.
you work on your own self-esteem and your self-worth and your self-confidence, then it's much easier to cope with anything that's thrown at you. Like any,
Anything, yeah,
do you know,
anything else that's
if
for
you
yeah,
if you build on, if you work on your internal thoughts and mindset, and then it
yep,
is almost like a force field, like a little protective
yeah. What
bubble
one?
that kind of,
Yeah, it's that's such a good way of putting it.
yeah. I mean, if your self-worth's really low,
Mm.
you get into that, and I'll always think the word victim sounds really harsh, but you get kind of caught up in that you're like a victim to circumstance, and that
Yeah,
you're just having to take what's thrown at you. Whereas when you build
yeah. No,
when you
no,
build your self-worth, you feel like you're in control a little bit more.
no. That's so true. Um, and obviously, kind of getting into that state is something that I massively do. I'm a big advocate for. But do you talk a lot of like meditation or anything, or breathe and work or anything like that for your clients,
I'm gonna
or is
like
that would be kind of
I'm gonna make a confession here. I'm absolutely rubbish at meditating. It's always in the back of my mind. It's always like,
yeah,
I should meditate. I should meditate.
yeah.
Maybe it's like I don't sort of feel like I need it,
Oh,
but
well, that's it.
I do believe it really, really helps.
Yeah. Oh, but I mean, I think by definition, when we talk about meditation, we talk too much about sitting and that mental calmness and that breath work. But meditation
Hmm.
can be exercise. It is that
Yeah.
positive energy build, or that's what it is for me. So,
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, I focus on like breathing chakra meditations and stuff like that, which
Yeah.
they work for me tremendously. But obviously, if they sometimes they're just not for some people as well,
Oh,
especially as you say, maybe you don't need it because you get that release.
yeah, it's definitely on my radar. It's like a thing that, like, I did for a while try the Cam app, and I was just doing
Hmm.
sort of like the 5-minute ones just to
Yep, yep,
kind
yep,
of
yep.
try and get into a habit of doing it, but then it kind of slipped away. So, um, but I do talk a lot about breathing exercises to people.
Hmm.
Is it? Am I getting like darker? It's like getting dark. Do you think I should quickly put a light on?
Yeah, I was gonna say I might go and stick 2 seconds. I'll stick a light on behind me and all. God,
I feel like I was
there
slowly,
we go.
slowly disappearing into the abyss.
Well, I wasn't. It's quite weird with my little camera setup as well because I've got one of these. It's got like a little a light ring around the outside
Ring
of the
light.
camera,
Yeah.
but it's so temperamental as well. I don't even think that
Oh.
It looks brighter, but
But
screen goes
no,
brighter.
definitely like breathing exercises. I'll talk, if people are like feeling anxious, or yeah, it's like your thoughts affect your physiology, but
Massively.
you can use your
And
physiology to change your
yeah.
thoughts. So
Hmm.
yeah,
Yep.
like just, and the breathing exercise, like I'll kind of do that if I feel like I need it.
Yeah.
It's just basically telling your brain that everything's fine. It's kind of your physiology, using
Yeah.
your physiology and your breathing to signal to your brain that you're safe, like you're all right. You're not
You're
in
in a
a
state of calm. Yeah.
life or
That
death
it takes you
situation.
back to that tiger. That tiger's not even going to come through the front door and
Mm,
get you.
yeah.
It's yeah,
Hmm.
it's all about that
Yeah,
anxiety
totally.
that's installed in us.
Hmm. Yeah. So yeah, do talk about that a lot, and kind of just share videos that are helpful with people, different breathing techniques, and yeah. But meditation, I do really believe in the power of it. I've just not quite got my own
Hmm.
habit going yet, but
Yeah.
yeah. So do you do that regular?
I try to do it
You
twice a week. Like I say, I try
Yeah.
to. I'll definitely meditate once a week. For me,
Hmm.
when I talk about rumination, or I describe it as head noise. That's the way that I've described it as before. A lot of
Hmm.
negative self talk. That meditation just completely brings that out of me. A really
Yeah.
weird thing that's happened to me while I've been meditating is I had a really bad year mentally last year, and that's when I really got back into meditation quite seriously. And
Hmm.
the more I practiced it, the better my sessions felt. And it came to the end of it that negative self talk was positive self talk during meditation. And the one message that I kept on getting back to myself was, you need to start to trust. You need to learn to trust yourself. And
Right.
ever since then, I've had so many conversations with people, and randomly they tell me, you just need to trust your gut. You just need to trust yourself. And I'm just like, yeah, that's just a little bit bizarre that was such a prominent message that I was kind of
Hmm.
working towards. And
Yeah.
then as I was working towards it, it's just this thing, the signals were all displaying themselves. And I'm quite a spiritual person. So yeah, I definitely believe in, the energy and what it can create and what it can exert for others as well. Because I'm a big believer that if you have good energy, uh, you know, you walk into a room of a load of people, you don't really know anybody, but you go to that one person. My belief there is it's just a good connection of energy.
Hmm. Yeah. Oh, totally. Yeah. Bit of
Yeah.
law of attraction.
Yeah. So obviously, so obviously going forward, um, as I said, I did have a little dip onto your Facebook page, earlier today, and you've got. Sorry, I've forgotten the name of it just now. It was up on my phone before and it's went off. It was. I'll edit this, pal. Don't worry. Time to shine. Sorry.
Mm. Yeah, that's the name of my group. So um
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, that kind of that stemmed from when I was doing my coaching training and it was lockdown. So I put a
Hmm.
post on Facebook. I was kind of like, right, I'm just gonna pop this out there. And I said, like, I'm training I'm training to be a wellness coach. Um
Hmm.
I'm sort of thinking about setting up a Facebook page with some little sort of helpful posts each day to get people through
Hmm.
lockdown, if anybody's up for that. So I ended up with, I don't know how many people were on it. There was I think there was about 100 or over 100 people on the page.
Wow.
And it was kind
Oh,
of,
that's cool.
the whole idea was, I mean, I didn't realize how long it was going to go on for, because I was doing a post each day, thinking
Yeah.
lockdown would maybe be like 6 weeks or
A
something.
week.
Um, the idea was like that things had, obviously not for everybody, because some people were still, working as normal if they were in hospitals or whatever. But the idea was that a lot of us had time to slow down, and time to reflect, time to get outside, time to do all these different things. So that was, each day was a
Mhm.
different, it was like time for self-care, time to be curious, time to rest, time to chill, time to get excited, and it was like a different thing each day. But the last one was like time to shine. Like you create this time in your life to do the things you love, whatever floats your boat, whatever makes you feel 100%. Good. So that I kind of took that on, and that's the name of my group. It's just them taking the time, like they're doing something for them. They're showing up on the lives, or they're setting their goals, or they're doing their habits, or whatever it is, or decluttering challenges, whatever that is. It's for them, and it's for them to feel better.
Yeah. As you say, that
so yes,
self-worth,
anybody that is listening that wants to join us, it's a feel
go
good
ahead.
place.
It's
good place
Lynsay Oliver Wellness across on Facebook. Definitely go and give it a like and a follow, and check out Time to Shine, because it looks really good. Like I was saying that to somebody at work today. My normal job, I was just like, I was looking through it and I was thinking, you know what, that's actually brilliant.
Because, thank you.
Like I was saying that it's like because no, I mean it, because like you see a lot of the life coaches and so forth, and it's it can almost be a little bit overwhelming. But then when I went into that, I was just like, you know what, that's nice and simplified.
Yeah,
it's just as you say, it kind of. And now speaking to you, I can totally understand that. It's just that nice little step-by-step progress and working on yourself.
Yeah, and it does take. The reason I made it like a year is because change does take time.
Yeah, 100%.
Even with my one-to-one clients, I started off doing 3-month programs, but I've kind of moved that to at least 6 months now, because I felt like the 3 months wasn't enough. It was like 6 sessions, and it wasn't enough to make substantial change. So it's just making that a little bit longer. I also do, I didn't mention actually, I do walk and talk sessions as well. So that was one of my lovely clients whose goal, one of her goals was to get outside more and walk more. But she was sort of struggling a little bit to get the motivation to do that. So we ended up doing our sessions while we were walking. And I was like, actually, this is a good idea. Just to get, because you're killing one bird, two birds with one stone. It's like getting out and getting fresh air.
Blow your mind a little bit. 6 hours ago, and we've not spoken before this, and I didn't know about this. 6 hours ago, I was speaking to somebody, and I said to them, something that I doing is a thing called a walking, where we get out for and talk for a little bit, like a group of guys and whatnot, and defuse and get a little bit of exercise with, because you beat 2 birds with 1 stone.
Yeah.
That's a bizarre one. Yeah,
spooky.
That is. There you go. That's freaky. Yeah, a lot of freaky things happen on this podcast. By the way, there was something that I was doing an interview with James Gaffney with before Christmas, and he said something. I was just like, well, that's really weird, because I was doing that as well. It was about writing children's books as well when we're having like the bad times of our life. I was just like, that's really bizarre. Sorry, I've totally went. I went and done what I said I wouldn't do, and that's go off on a tangent during the episode.
It's a bit spooky though. No, I did, because I kind of thought about it a while ago, and then it was COVID. It was when I first started, and then it was a whole awkwardness with COVID and stuff going on. But more like groups, like you say, like, and I sort of thought wellness walks, that you have a walk, and then you sit somewhere for a chat to kind of chat about stuff. I am aware, like, though, one thing that I am aware of is, like, sometimes if I get together with friends or that, you kind of, it's like we do kind of offload sometimes problems or challenges, which is good to it's good to talk about them, but as long as you sort of switch the focus into how you can make things better. Do you know, it's that whole, it's like we were talking about before, that when you start focusing on negative stuff, then you start thinking, oh yeah, and that and that's wrong, and that's wrong. And you
Yeah.
kind of start thinking of other things. So as long as when everybody's together and talking, that you're actually, right, how, like, not just talking about the problems, you're actually talking about how we're going to feel better, switch that
Yeah, and that's
focus.
it. And like you say, it creates a good habit as well, getting out walking. And again, a good habit creates a lasting habit, which is
Mm-hmm.
obviously important to what you obviously want to ultimately achieve when you take on clients. Is
Yeah.
that changes are permanent changes that are good for you, is obviously try and stick to them as best you can. Sorry, I didn't
Mm-hmm.
explain that very well, but
Yeah.
um,
But it's like you doing your,
that in
I
itself
noticed
must
you're
be
going
quite
to do
challenging.
your cold water dips, like that, amazing as
Yes,
well. It's like
yes.
I feel good, and then a chat and get everybody
That,
together. Because there's a
that's what
fear
it is,
there
and
as well. Like there's a sort of, like, I've only been in the sea a few times, like doing that, but every time my stomach churns, and I'm like, oh,
we the last
once
time I
you're in,
done it
it's
was
all
last.
right. But it's that thought of it.
I don't know about that. Like, sorry, as no, I
It always
struggle. I
feels so
really
good
struggle to do it.
after.
It feels amazing because you get out. No, it's no, it's good. Like, it's so good. Obviously, the physical the physical benefits of it, especially if you're doing a bit of exercise too. But the mental benefits, like you say, it's that stomach churning anxiety of nerves that you get beforehand. You go and do it
Hmm.
in the middle of it. You think, you know what, this feels amazing. Much like we talked about exercise
Yeah.
before, it's that feeling of what was I even worried about?
Yeah, but it's like it's pushing you. You're going out your comfort zone.
Yeah,
Do you know,
that's
like,
it.
you kind of, the more you do that, the easier it gets. Whereas if we don't
Yeah,
kind of push ourselves to do that and everything's comfortable, then it's like we stay stuck. So
and
it's
that's
good.
it. Once you stay
It's like
stuck for a
your
while,
high rocks.
yeah,
It's like pushing yourself to do something that maybe feels a little bit scary, but then once you've done it,
yeah.
it's like, yeah, it's all good. You
That's it.
might not be
I
able to
think the
walk
original post. No, yeah, I really won't be able to.
for a
I'm
few
really
days.
dreading it. But I'm not dreading it. Like, I've got a bit of confidence about it now. But like, it's so true though, because I put a post up when I first signed up for the High Rocks back. I think it was at the start of November, and the first line of that post is, "Come March, I won't believe how far I've come." And it's so
Hmm.
true. Like you say, it's that progressional journey that 5 months isn't actually a very long time.
Yeah.
But what you do in that journey, you learn about yourself, and you filter out a couple of bad habits, and you start to love the new good habits,
Yeah.
and that progression, that step by step progression, is so important to one
Hmm.
thing. But if you can, as you say, that declutter and find exactly the root of the problems and attack that, it must make such a difference on people's lives.
Yeah. Yeah. There was a pod. I was listening to a podcast when I was out with the dog today, and there was a guy. I'll not. I'll not. It was called Master She Hing Hai. I think. I'm not sure if I've said that right. It was on the Feel Better, Live More podcast. Have you heard of that one?
Right? Okay. I've
Yeah.
heard of it. I've not listened to it. No.
Yeah, he was on that, and I was like, actually, do you know when you think, I looked at my phone to see at which point he'd said this, because I thought I need to actually go back and listen to it and write it down.
Yeah.
But he said, like, whatever we're attached to makes us heavy,
Hmm.
and it's like it weighs us down and keeps us stuck. So it's
Yeah.
like when we start to let go of things, it's like a freedom. It's like we're not stuck in that one place, in that, and whether that's like when you think of even clutter, so people have a real fear of putting stuff out. Do you know?
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
like,
That's so true.
why are we like that? It's almost like with fear of, or the norm, the sort of familiar, safe.
Hmm.
But if we're with a fear of letting go of the stuff, like that's a little bit scary, because we don't know how our life's going to be, or whether we're going to need
Hmm.
something. So whether you're attached to stuff, whether you're attached to your past, whether you're attached to certain thoughts or ideas or beliefs. It's like when we can like let go of all that, we get
Yeah.
like we're freer to do what we want to do. And I was like,
Yeah.
whoa.
Massively.
Whoa, I need to write that down.
I can
Yeah, when
say
you
the name
have
of the
one of
book now.
those
See, when we
little,
were talking about books and audibles before, I was just like, the book that I'm reading now is the Simple Art of How Not to Give a Fuck, and
oh,
I
is it good?
highly recommend. It is best I've read in a while by far.
Yeah, I might
It's
have to get
really
it
really
from
really
you.
good.
I'm trying
Yeah,
not to
well,
buy any more
yeah,
books.
it's really good. I was reading there's another good recommendation is How to Win Friends and Influence People. That's a small little book.
Yeah, yeah.
It's quite an old
I've
one,
not
but it's
read that
really
either.
good.
This pops up on the list of books that you should read.
Yeah, it's really good. It's quite an old book. It was written in like 19. I would say it was actually around about 1918. It's written, so all the kind of references are really old, so you don't
Yeah,
really know a
yeah.
lot of the people that he's on about apart from the major figures. But the articulation and the philosophy behind it's brilliant.
Hmm.
As you say, you get them one little lines, and you're like, oh, that's it. That made sense to me, and that can make sense
Yeah,
to so many other people, and it's an important
yeah,
value.
yeah. I love it. I love a book.
Yeah, yeah. Well, like I say, it's
I
something
love a
I
self development book.
yeah, I've got a couple. I've got a couple. I usually have a little pile of books there. I don't know where they've actually gone. I was going
Yeah,
to give you a couple of
but that's
recommendations
what
just now,
keep
but
like that's a practice as well. I think like that's a habit. If you're consistently reading something that increases your awareness, or you're getting little bits of inspiration or positive
Mhm.
things or ways that you can change or different, even just different ways to think about something, that keeps you
Yeah,
feeling good and motivated and fired up. It's just that little that it's like
that's yeah.
a little fix, a little fix of a book or a podcast or a
It's that little
just
bit of self intuition that you learn. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, totally. And those little moments where you go, oh wow, yes, I can totally
yeah.
relate to that, or that
That's
is
it. And then you've
me.
that's it. And I also find their moments also help, as we were talking about right back at the start of the episode. When you go in that snowball of self doubt, and then all of a sudden you kind of hit that focus back, and you're kind of back into the game. For me,
Hmm.
a lot of that happens when I read, because you read something and you think, ah, yes, that's actually, it's weird that I've read that because that's how I felt, and now
Oh
reading
yeah,
that and seeing a kind of resolution for that has made sense to me, and now
yeah,
I feel better about it, and that's what reading's doing for me just now. It's that relation to what goes on in our lives, and then kind of exerting the change back out. A
yeah.
massive one for me was say going on to the How to Win Friends and Influence People. He goes on about Abraham Lincoln a lot, and he was on about is before you make judgment, you should always put yourself in the other person's shoes before you even say a word about it. And
Hmm.
that stuck with me, and I thought, yes, and I've been trying really hard to change, like to add that behavior to me,
Yeah.
which is hard.
Sometimes
But it takes time. Like you say,
it's worth the go though.
changes take time.
Yeah. But it does actually help with that as well though. Like a bit more understanding of why people act the way that they act.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. If
exactly, and
the more you know how your own thoughts work, you can kind of yeah,
that's it. You
relate
can
to other
channel,
people.
and yeah, massively, and then you can and then you can really, as what we're to doing is try to help people as well, and that's
Yeah.
that for me is
But
just the most important thing just now.
yeah. Oh, totally. But it is spooky. Like what you're saying is, I think you do. Like I find that what I listen to or what I read does seem to come at the
Mhm.
right moment. It's funny how where you are and what's going on in your world. It does seem to come at the right time.
It's very bizarre. A lot of things that have obviously said to me was talking to people is that they obviously the universe makes you cross paths for a reason. And I didn't really
Hmm.
believe in that before I started doing podcasts, and now I started doing it. I'm like, you know
Yeah.
what? That's actually really true.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I would say that definitely. things like, and especially if you're, like I was saying, if you're in that good place and things are all good and you're focusing on all the stuff that's going well and you're taking action and your energy's good, you do get more of it.
Mhm.
You get more of it, but you get back what you give
Oh,
out.
yeah.
It's
Exactly. Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely agree. I'm just
yeah.
aware at the time, and aware in about an hour and a bit's time, you're taking a fitness class. I hope you're gonna.
You're worried about your mum's class.
I know my mum's going to it as well.
Yeah.
So I just obviously just say to you, obviously thank you so much for coming on. But is there anything else that you just like to talk about or say to any listeners or say any of your clients or that might be listening to the episode?
I think maybe the only thing that I would say is that, like, we quite often look for an external fix. Like
Hmm.
if things are not how we want them to be, we look for something outside of ourselves to fix it.
Yeah,
Whereas whereas if we start, and it sounds a bit cheesy, a bit corny, but if you start looking within, if you start with yourself, like
it's so
all
true.
that we can change is either ourselves or our environment.
Hmm.
So like that's where to start. And
Yeah.
yeah, and the only other thing I would say is if anyone needs any support, to just give me a message, like check out my Facebook
Yeah.
page and get in touch. I always kind of say to people, especially if it's someone wanting to work one-to-one, I always have a free
Mhm.
call with them so that they can see whether
Yeah.
we're a good fit for each other. So yeah, just if anybody is needing support, it's not easy to try and change on your own. It's
No.
it's you know it's a good thing to get some support and get some help and get
Hmm.
some direction. And I have a coach, and it's just keeps me ticking along, keeps me setting goals, keeps me motivated,
Yeah.
keeps me focusing on what I need to work on. So
Hmm.
um if you're that type of person that you need that little bit of external motivation and accountability and support, then yeah, anybody that's struggling, like don't like they do. It's a choice. You don't. Nobody needs to struggle.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
whether it's me, whether it's
So true.
someone else, whether it's you know like uh going to an exercise class or getting a personal trainer or speaking to someone, doesn't necessarily need to be me. Just um don't struggle on. Just get look for support, because there's loads of support there for people. You're
Hmm.
doing your cold water dips and there's lots of good stuff there. And just it might feel a little bit scary at first to go approach someone,
Hmm.
but I'm
Yeah.
totally happy to have a chat with anybody, and there's absolutely no pressure. If they decide it's not for
Yeah.
them, then it's all good.
Yeah. Well, I've honestly, I always say that. I always like. It's been really weird because obviously this has been the first time I've had like a really. I've had Yasmin on to speak a couple of weeks ago, but obviously having a new guest on the shows, it's been the first time since the middle of December. So I've loved this conversation. It's been incredibly relatable,
Mm-hmm.
and that's really true as well. Like just a lot of what you say just rings true, and I know it's going to ring true with a lot of people listening in as well. So I just like to say, obviously, just thank you so much again for giving me a little bit of your time, and you're always welcome to come back on the podcast
Oh, I'd love
anytime.
to.
I hope it hasn't been too. I hope it
I love
hasn't been
to
too
talk.
daunting for you.
I
That
love
makes
to
both of
talk.
us.
Ask anyone in my group. They'll be like, oh yeah, he'll be struggling to get her off. No, I've really enjoyed it.
No,
Thank you. Thank you for
no,
having me.
that's brilliant. Yeah, well, as I say, you're welcome back anytime. So guys, yeah, I'll finish it there. Again, thank you, Lynsay. Go ahead, check out her Facebook page. It's Lynsay Oliver Wellness across on Facebook. She does have a website on there, but I think for that you've got a little bit of difficulty with your website just now.
Yeah, it should be back up and running, but it does need updated a little bit. But there's
Yeah.
some information on there, but I'm in the process of updating that.
Well, what I'll do for everybody is I'll obviously on the bottom of this episode I'll put the link across to your Facebook page. So if anybody does want to get in touch with you there, to possibly start their own journey and get that little bit of motivation, then obviously they've all already learned a little bit about you coming on and listening to this podcast. So again, thank you so much, Lynsay, for coming on. It's been a really good talk.
Thank you.
Yeah, no. And yeah, guys, sorry, we'll finish it there. And so this has been the Borderline Podcast. I've been Andrew Rolex. That's been Lynsay Oliver. Good night.